Welcome to Thriver's Ed, the podcast that's all about giving you the practical, no-nonsense advice you need to level up your life and business. I'm your host, Marcy Rossi, success coach, business strategist, and alcohol-free enthusiast. If you're ready to crush your goals, optimize your productivity, and live your best, most authentic life, then you're in the right place. Each week, we'll dive into topics like the psychology of success, practical strategies to boost your performance, and the unexpected ways living alcohol-free can elevate your life. Whether you're looking to boost your business, improve your health, or simply become a better version of yourself, Thriver's Ed is here to help you do just that. So grab your iced coffee, buckle up, and let's get thriving. All right, today we are talking about something that I am super interested in and that I know a lot of you guys are as well, and that is SEO. And maybe you don't know necessarily what SEO is today. I have a little bit of knowledge, and a little bit of knowledge is a dangerous thing, and that is why I have brought on an expert with me today. I've got Barb Davids. Barb is the founder of Compass Digital Strategies, and she founded that back in 2018, but she's a digital marketer with over 25 years of experience. And one thing I love about Barb is, like me, she is not here for fluff. Her passion is in providing direct, results-oriented digital marketing solutions for ambitious business owners. And when she's not at her laptop, she is out running with her dog Stone in whatever city she is at the time. Barb, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to talk about SEO and like what is happening in the world with our websites. It's going to be a good talk.
I am excited too. And I will say that some of my audience may not know exactly what SEO is, but I think they're going to be excited about it because I know that they also hate being on social media all the time, on having to try to get followers and likes and engagement and clicks and all that stuff. So anything that we can do to get visible that doesn't require posting live every single day, I think is going to be really exciting. So stepping back for a minute, what exactly is SEO, and maybe like what is it not? Like what are some common misconceptions you see about what exactly it is?
Yes. So SEO stands for search engine optimization. And people are going to start hearing different terms now that AI is in the mix and coming in the world. So there's AI SEO, there's GEO, which is generative engine optimization. I don't know what term they're going to end up landing on at some point, but basically it is about optimizing your website in such a way that people can find your website through organic search engines. So whether that be Google or it be Perplexity or ChatGPT, it can even be Instagram now because Instagram is getting indexed into Google searches. So anytime somebody goes to Google and types in a word that comes up, like if you're selling coaching services and you type in coaching services near me, then your website would come up because you have optimized your website in such a way that it can find it.
Okay, and when you're saying optimize website, like what does this mean? What are we doing?
That's a great question. Okay, so I'm going to go, let's see, where to start is basically writing out, I will say like the most broken down way to do it is having blogs.
Okay.
That is optimizing your website. Now, there's other things you can do to make it easier for Google to find you, but the blog posts are really what set the context for Google. So the more context that you can give Google, the more it can understand, and it can be like, oh, okay, now I know what you're talking about. A lot of the times I liken it like this. So like if you're going, let's say you're visiting some town or something, and you don't know where you're going, you have never been there before. You might have some maps, you might have some Google things saved or something. But really, you're just like walking down the street trying to see what's kind of cool and what do you want to go into. And there's a coffee shop, you're looking for coffee. You go by a coffee shop and it kind of looks cute. Like you want to go in there, there's a couple seats outside and stuff like that. It says coffee shop, coffee here. But if you go down to the next one, you'll see this big old billboard and it says French lavender lattes and warm croissant buns. I don't know, something like that. Your blog posts are that sign sitting out inside in front of the store. So it's like telling people to come in a way that resonates with them. So I kind of liken it like that. Does that help?
Yeah, so I mean, we're just providing more context is kind of the
hmm
idea of these are the problems that I solve, and these are kind of some of the things that I work on, some of my knowledge, my experience, my kind of background, I guess, have it like
Yeah.
here's what it is that I do.
Yep. Yep. And probably one of the biggest things I see is people will put up a website and they won't create service pages. They'll probably just put like a home page and then they'll put a document, something like like, what do you want to call that? Like an area that says what they do, how long they've done it. It's all about them. And it doesn't really talk about what they can do for the person that it's going for. And it's only just one page. So it doesn't give a lot of context for the reader or for Google to really understand what you provide. So having a home page and a service page with more detail about the service you provide and blog posts just helps Google have your website show up before competitors. Because basically what you're doing is competing against everybody in the world. So if you have your website with one page and you have another website that does, this person over there does the exact same thing, but they have 20 blog posts, Google's going to better understand the competitor versus your website. So it's almost like you're competing with them for that top spot in the first page.
Okay, so we're providing more context, more information for Google, more ways to be found because maybe they find our homepage or maybe they find one blog post or another blog post. Like it's just more information, more opportunities for us.
Yeah.
So is there like I don't know, like a recommended number of blog posts we should have? Should we be doing it one a day, one a month? Are we like, if we just do 200 today, are we done for the year? Like what does it look like in practice?
So in reality, what I usually recommend is doing one per month. In a realistic world, we don't have a lot of time to do different blog posts and do like one every week, one every day. That's just overkill. I mean, Google can also tell like these people that crank out AI blog posts, let's say they did like 300 in a month because they thought doing more would be better. Google can see that that's not realistic for a human being. And they're looking for things, and not to say that you can't do AI copywriting. I don't want to maybe go down that rabbit hole today, but um, they can tell that you are writing it. So like realistically, if you can do one in a month, you will eventually start grabbing onto some of that traffic. Sometimes sooner than later. It really depends on the competitiveness of the phrase that you're targeting, because somebody will type in a word into Google and then you only have those chances to show up, and Google can only show one page, right? So it shows this page, that page, this page, that page. And so you want yours to come up. So if your blog post is targeting that phrase specifically, then it has a better chance coming up. So sometimes it's a lot faster than others. But if you have a human copywriter, which I totally advocate for, it's a lot easier to come out with them once a month on a regular, consistent basis, or even once a week if you wanted. But once a month is probably more doable. And you can take that piece and repurpose it to other content, making it so much easier to market your business. You can create like things for social if you really wanted to create for social, or your newsletter, or any other medium really, and you can use it ongoing.
Okay, so we're gonna do one a month.
Mm-hmm.
What do I write about? You mentioned people are looking for things in Google. Like, how do I know what kinds of things I should be writing on my blog so that I can attract what it is they're actually looking for?
Okay, I'm gonna, without getting geeky about it, the real world is basically anything that anybody is asking you, the FAQ questions that people ask you, your clients ask you, or maybe even your mom asks you. They don't know what you do half the time, so they have all these questions, and you can find just write about that. That's exactly the thing. And then the way that you can find it for your specific scenario, an easy way is just to go into Google and start writing a question that somebody might have about your business. Like somebody might say, what is SEO? Or what was the question I answered the other day? Something about return and analytics. Like, how do I know if my SEO is working? Like, that's the phrase I can target for a specific blog post. And you can do that just by going into Google, because when you start typing Google the questions, it'll auto-populate some very frequently asked questions in Google. So that's one way you can see it. Another way you can see it is to just type in your core service, whether that be business coach or something, into Google, hit enter. And then if you scroll down just a little bit, there's a place called People Also Asked. And that gives you a ton of ideas, because you click one and it refans out, and you click another one and it refans out. So it gives you a whole bunch of questions that people are asking around your subject.
Okay. I have an event coming up in October, and I've been looking for potential speakers to talk about automation. It's not the point of this conversation, but one person I found, I couldn't find her in Google, and I found her on Instagram, and she has a link tree, and I clicked the link, and it's a Notion page, and at the top she's like, "Oh, I don't have a website anymore because SEO doesn't matter," and I'm just curious your thoughts with the rise of AI, kind of what the changes are in SEO. Like I can tell you, for me, I oftentimes won't Google a question. I will ask ChatGPT my question because then I get an answer. I don't have to go continue like looking for the answer. So, what are you seeing right now with the rise of AI?
So what I'm telling my clients to do is continue with SEO because the AI tools are essentially looking for websites and the same, what do I want to call it, principles apply. You want to answer questions in a very true way. You want to provide help. You want to structure your pages in a certain way. Like we're not going down that geeky side of like the
Sure.
technical pieces, but there's a lot of things you can do with like where you put keywords in your pages, how many times, things around images, making sure that it's very engaging and things like that. There's also some stuff you can put on called schema that kind of helps it out. I haven't learned that AI optimization is a specific way. And even Google has said it's still the same thing as traditional SEO because AI, what that most of those are doing so far is scraping the web right now as it is. It's not going out and finding websites like Google. At least right now, I have to always put
Sure.
a splat over my head because anything could, like a disclaimer, because anything can change at any moment. But as of right now, they're going out and looking for existing websites and using the same kind of, I don't know if they do the same thing as Google or if they're using Google. Like obviously Gemini is probably going to use Bing because that's their base. But what they're doing is looking for other websites. So your website and your content, if it's not there to be scraped, to be found, it's not going to come up in the AI results. Now, there are things that you can do a little bit more. It's still part of general SEO, which is called backlinks and mentions and things like that, where another website would, for some reason, maybe link back to your website. Let's say it's the top 10 business coaches of 2025, and they list out a whole bunch of people, and they link back to your website. The AI tools have been leaning more towards the pages that recommend the same businesses over and over. So if you can get an listicle or you can get more backlinks and get more mentions, maybe from Reddit, that does sometimes work, but it's not like an absolute 100%. Yep, if you do that, that's going to work because they also keep changing a lot too. So you can't say that you can go do this today, that it's going to stay there forever. But that has been in the traditional SEO sense too, that you wanted to get backlinks because it was kind of like a vote for your website. And it was a true vote. You can manipulate it, but Google has a way to look at those links to figure out if they're good or if they're bad or if they're manipulated. So people are leaning more heavily towards that piece of it. But there's no way to like guarantee it. So I always recommend to people to do more outreach, more PR, more brand mentions, more collaborations. The more you can get your business mentioned, the better it is in the long term.
You know what I love about that is that it's a strategy that, even if it doesn't work for SEO, it's still just good business practice, right? Like if we're
Mm-hmm.
talking about these two different strategies, we have regularly publishing blog posts. Maybe people aren't finding you on Google, but maybe there's someone that found you some other way and you've got an answer right there for your blog post and they want more from you and they sign up for your newsletter and we build a
Yeah.
relationship that way. Or you're doing PR, right? If the backlinks themselves aren't really helping, the fact that you maybe showed up on someone else's podcast or you did a guest blog for someone, or they, like you said, made it into a listicle. All of these are good things, even if someone didn't necessarily find you from AI or from Google, they found you from someone else's newsletter or whatever that thing is. So I like that these are kind of strategies that it's not just if a backlink doesn't actually support SEO, it doesn't matter. It continues to grow our business and kind of, it feels like a double dip sort of thing.
Yeah, I think that's the key, right? Is diversification. I'm a firm believer in diversifying marketing because there's a couple of clients that I have that was their whole piece. It was just SEO and organic, and Google traffic is going down. So we've had to kind of shift our energies because our energies weren't necessarily into the outreach and the PR as much. We would do it maybe once a quarter or kind of haphazardly because it just wasn't something we spent a lot of time. It's so time consuming and so energy draining, and I get that. But now that we found a way to do it on a regular basis, we are definitely seeing the effects of that. And it's making a huge difference because people are coming to that client and requesting to work with them now, whereas before they weren't. So diversifying is a really good idea to do. Just like you can't rely on referrals all the time because that could dry up. Or if you did have your business only in Instagram, which I don't recommend because it's not always going to be there 100% that you can know, get them off and into something that you own, like a newsletter or your website or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a big proponent of having at least some other thing, not putting all of your eggs in one basket. I wonder,
Mhm.
are there things that we maybe are inadvertently doing or maybe even intentionally doing, not realizing that these are penalizing us in terms of SEO?
I wouldn't say penalizing, but maybe there's some things we could do better that I see a lot of on our websites that would help Google see us better. Outside of the blog post, which is probably the number one thing that really, really helps, is just putting a person behind the brand. A lot of us don't want to be seen, and so we don't put like our picture or anything in the about page, or we're just afraid to put extra stuff in there for people to know. But the more that you can share, it helps with the credibility and the authority and the expertise that Google is looking for. So things like a privacy policy, that's missing a lot on people's websites, just saying, hey, you can trust me, everything that you have on here is private. Sometimes a disclaimer if you're selling things. The about is really big because it puts a person behind the brand and it's not some like mass generated website. And even just on the blog posts themselves, if you do have a blog, making sure that there's like a bio at the bottom, that also signals to Google that there's a person and that there's a trustworthy aspect to this. And a lot of people are missing calls to action. So on your website, whether it be your homepage, service page, blog posts, we forget that we want to tell people explicitly what we want them to do next. So like if you have a blog post at the bottom, it could be to contact me, but put the form just right there. Don't make them click to the contact page. That's just a whole nother piece of it. Or refer them to another blog post that might be helpful, or sign up for the newsletter to get notified when the next blog comes out or something like that.
Now, when you say tell them explicitly what to do you mean it needs to be like buy now, enroll now, or can we still have fun with the buttons being like, heck yes, this is absolutely me, or does it really need to be in that clear language?
I think that's more of a brand
Okay.
question. I think it's okay to do it as long as the copy that's right around the button is very clear about what's going to happen when they click that button.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've mentioned a couple times that SEO is changing, and it's probably something that I imagine has just a lot of moving pieces that you've got to kind of stay on top of. So I'm really curious how you landed in this area of expertise.
By accident. So, I don't know, a long time ago, you said 25 years, and I keep thinking, holy crap, it's been a long time in this. But I used to work in digital in corporate for a lot of years. I used to manage a whole digital department in a couple different places, and I would hire out people like me. And it kind of was like, okay, we started getting into SEO. I think it was in like the 90s or something like that. And I was so enthralled, like, how do you do this? And so I would ask them, how do you do this? And they wouldn't tell me. And it was always like, oh, we're monitoring, or like, yeah, we're just doing this stuff, but they could never really tell me. And I'm like, but you're doing it every single day, supposedly every single month. What's actually happening? And so I'll fast forward to my business. I wanted to be able to give that transparency because I get so sick and tired of people not giving me the answer. And it's really not that mystical, right? Like there is a way to do it. But I have learned like SEO, while it's ongoing, it's more of it moves into content marketing. So SEO is kind of more about optimizing your website like one time. So you set it up in a way like putting the headers and like the technical background and putting your page titles into place and your meta descriptions, and I can give a tip on that later, but putting everything in place so that there's no errors or very few errors, because sometimes we can't fix them all depending on our hosting, but like make sure there's no 404 so all of your links work and everything goes where it needs to go. Make sure there's images in there that have the right setup on those as well. Like a lot of times, I'll just go on a side note real quick. A lot of times when we download Canva or we download images, we just have that file name and it says image underscore 2345. But you want to put your keyword as the file name before you upload it to your website. And that helps a little bit with your optimizations and getting found. So, oh, I went off on a tactic. Went off on a tangent there. They wouldn't tell me what was going on and it just made me mad. So I wanted to share that. So you do your SEO, but then what happens is you move into content marketing basically. What you do is you do blogs and you just do more marketing and you push your blogs out in front of people, because if you have your website and you don't tell anybody about it, you don't share the blogs, you don't share what's going on, nobody's going to come to your website and sign up for your services or what you have to offer. So it's just a part of marketing that has to happen. And I think I'm getting better at my own marketing because I didn't do it in the beginning either. Like I was kind of afraid to even market myself. But after a while, I was like, oh, okay, this is what I got to do. Like owning your own business really opens you up to like, crap, I've got to do the thing. And so that's what I help with basically.
I mean, I totally get that. I really relate that kind of curiosity of like, but how does it work? I want to learn more. I want to be able to do this. This is really how I ended up pivoting my own business, is because I was just obsessed with all of the different pieces and tools that we could be using to grow. Like I'm just an infinitely curious person. So,
Yeah.
out of my curiosity, I'm wondering, are there any particular tools that people can use that you really like? I know I love tools, so I've done a lot of research, and some of these things are, I guess, made for SEO experts. They can be very expensive. So I'm wondering if there's
Yeah.
anything that's maybe free or low cost that you would recommend.
So the one that I like and I refer people to is called ahrefs.com/webmaster tools. So it's AHREF like Frank S.com/webmaster tools. Now, a lot of the times it'll try to upsell you, but it has enough that it can tell you if there's any errors on your website. And then that way you can, and it'll tell you how to fix them, which is really nice. So I recommend that as far as just the like base setup to see how everything's looking. And then as far as tools, I mean, if you want to, with keywords, what happens is with blogs, it's basically you're targeting a phrase or a keyword, something somebody's typing into Google. And while you can use frequently asked questions, if you wanted to see if there's any interest, if there's a certain word that people are searching more than another word, you can use a keyword tool. And I think Ahrefs has it where you can look up like what that number is. So for example, if you have two ideas, and you're like, I'm wondering which one gets searched more. Like both of them I can talk about, both of them I can help with when somebody searches for it. Then if you type it into the tool, one gives you 20 searches per month and the other one gives you 5,000 searches per month. It's probably more likely that you would want to write about the one that talks about 5,000 times per month, or that gets searched 5,000 times per month. Because you have more of a chance to show up because there's more people searching for it. And I think you can get that in Ahrefs. There's another one tool too. It's called Uber Suggest is the other one. I'm not a fan of the guy that runs it. I'm not a fan of the tool itself overall because I kind of just do my own thing. But they give you 3 free searches, I think, a day, so that's super helpful. The one that I use is called Keywords Everywhere, and it's super nominal. It's like $10 for like forever. But I think the normal business owner probably only needs to do like the Uber Suggest where you can get the free ones when you need it.
Yeah, I've used all of those. I think it's Ahref. I've used SEMrush before too. Again, always the free plans, and some of those are just handy because it'll be like, oh, your website is down, or we found a 404 page, or just kind of giving
Mm-hmm.
me some error of like, oh, I need to go. I forgot to put a meta description in this page or whatever.
Yeah.
Another tool I recently have started using, I don't know if you've heard of it, it's called ClickRank.ai.
No, I haven't.
I found it on AppSumo, and basically, so you were talking earlier about like when you download your file names and it's just like a collection of letters and numbers. I am completely guilty of that. I don't have time. I just save it, and so all of my files are just named randomly.
Yeah.
And what ClickRank will do is okay, I don't know how, but it uses JavaScript to kind of go in and overwrite a lot of these things, so that when you get to the page, it'll actually change the title of that page to be something SEO optimized. It'll write your schema for you. It'll write your meta descriptions, etc. It uses AI to do a lot of these things, so you have to check to make sure that it's actually correct. And I'm newer to it, so I don't know what the results are. But yeah, that was just kind of something interesting that I saw, so I don't have to go and manually change everything. I can just kind of select and say, go optimize this title so that it's not called like ABX23 and it's like woman on chair on our laptop working on our coaching business or whatever that is. So
Yeah. Does it have access to your website to make those changes?
yeah, you have to put something in your header, like a piece of code in your header, and then it'll go in and change those things.
Um, Through the back end, or here's why I'm asking. I
Sure.
did try a tool a long time ago and it did, what did it do? It did links. So if it found a word, it would automatically add a link to another page of my website. I thought, great, saves
Ah,
me all the time. What I found with that tool was that it was only doing it on the front end. So Google couldn't see that change. It only
okay.
happened after the page loaded versus having done it in the source so that Google can see that. So it really didn't make a difference to Google and it didn't help the SEO at all.
Okay, I'm certain it's the front end because I can watch it change as my page loads, right? Like the title at the
Yes.
top. So,
Yes.
okay. I mean, you know what? It was $50. Sometimes lessons are just you lived and learned and whatever. And I
Yeah,
could use it to help me generate ideas for what these things are. Then I have to go
exactly.
do or have a hire a virtual assistant to assist me with or an SEO expert, et cetera. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's really interesting to kind of see like, sometimes it seems like it's really good to be true, and then is it really making an impact at the end of the day?
I think that's where us as business owners, like, and you probably have to deal with this all the time with tools because you try them and you're like, nope, that's not right. Like, it's just trying them out and then seeing and the live and learn kind of process, I think. Like, I did my own bookkeeping when I first started, and that was a big no-no.
Yeah, that's my father fortunately is a CPA, but I keep track of my expenses and stuff. But I'm like, I need someone to kind of take it on him here. Since we're
Yeah.
talking about that, I'm curious, at what point does it start making sense to really invest in SEO more seriously? Whether that's taking the time to do this, money wise, hiring help, like when would you suggest we start looking into that?
I think it's after you understand what you want to do with your marketing. So, what channels do you want to spend your time on and the budget that's available? So, I think a lot of times if we think, okay, I don't want to do the referral route or I don't want to do the social media, well, what else is left? I mean, there's direct marketing, there's traditional, there's TV advertising. So, I think it's a matter of deciding whether or not that is something that you want to make a part of your marketing strategy and then how much time you want to spend toward it. Because there are some industries, I would say it's not even worth doing it because people will type in something like, for example, that's not necessarily this audience, but the nail salons of the world, I would never recommend them do SEO because they are very much a near me type of person when you type in the thing. But there's some industries where they probably do better. Like each person does better if they were doing Instagram or if they were doing Pinterest or something like that. So it's definitely, I think, a individual thought. And I think if people are like, my leads are going down or they're stagnant, I mean, you kind of can feel it if you're like, okay, this channel just isn't working for me. Maybe I should try something else. I would say if somebody's thinking about it and they really want to explore it, give it at least 6 months for sure. And then that way they can see if it's actually working because it's definitely not an overnight process. But if you have at least 6 months, you can kind of see, oh, I can see this moving in the right track, or yep, this feels good. Something happened over here. Like that is the thing I would recommend.
Yeah, I've heard that things like this can take a little bit of time to really build out. And so I'm curious if you have any client win stories or something where you've helped someone make a change, or maybe even in your own business, you've made a change and maybe the results didn't come right away, but then you were able to kind of see and track it back to some kind of improvement you made.
I do need to do better about my case studies for sure. I don't spend any time on those, but I do have one example that I'm very proud of. We worked with a client. I've actually been working with her for about 5 or 6 years since I started on my own in the business. And she had already had a couple of blogs out there and it wasn't really consistent. We started getting consistent and then we realized that the traffic was going up. So over time, she has gotten so much more traffic. It's ridiculous. We were having like 1, 2 leads a day, and now we're getting like double-digit leads per day. And she's a one and done type of service, wedding service, so she doesn't have like repeat business or anything. But over time, it does like piggyback off of each other, right? Like the more you do over time, it compounds. In particular, there was this one blog post that she had. It was like an ultimate guide of how to get married in the city. And it was kind of like dropping. You can kind of see too, when you start to see your blog traffic, there's a tool called Google Search Console. And you can see how the traffic is starting to go down, or you can see in your analytics that you're not getting as many leads. And we did a refresh on it. And it was already out there, it had been out there for a couple of years. We did a refresh on it, and she started getting leads again from it. So even your old blogs could be refreshed, and you won't have to like do a new one every time. You could do one new one this month and then do a refresh next month if you have blogs. I think that was probably one of my more fun ones just because it was actually getting leads, and that's really the ultimate goal. It's not about getting the traffic. Who cares about the traffic if you're not getting the leads?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the thing. We're not just sending people to our website. It's like, what do I want them to do, right? Are they
Mm-hmm.
then getting on my mailing list so I can nurture them? Are they taking that next action, that call to action, whatever that is?
Yeah.
I'm nosy. What are you focusing on these days in terms of marketing?
For my business now, my blogs are going consistently. So those are good. They have like a good rhythm. That was my first, obviously with organic, I kind of have to do that, right? But in my industry, it's very competitive. There's a ton of SEO stuff out there and like how to do it. So when I first started, I wanted to just do blogs. Well, that has been consistent now. So now I'm focusing on podcast guesting.
Mm.
So like this one, and then you came on mine, which is really cool. So I got to share your expertise with my audience. And I feel like it's a really great way to increase visibility because it's stuff I like talking about. It takes an hour or two out of my time and do the prep work and then the sharing and stuff like that. And the first time I share everything, it's then shared again later. I can just reshare. And it's one of those things where they call it leveraged networks. And you're getting in front of other people that they already have an audience. So it makes it, I guess it's just a fast track almost. I don't podcast guest on every podcast though. There's some of them out there that I'm not really a fan of how they do it because they do use them as a sales tool. And that I'm not a fan of. But so I'm doing podcast guesting for my own business.
That's exactly what I'm leaning into as well. The
Yeah.
leverage audiences, I call them smart borrowed traffic, where you're doing bundles, summits, podcast guesting. I
Mm-hmm.
haven't yet reached out to anybody for a guest blog post, but I do have someone guesting on my blog next
Oh,
month.
cool.
So yeah, just really kind of leveraging that network, right? Because they've already done the work to build some kind of trust, and now they get to be associated with you for that. So I think it's a brilliant way to grow, and I'm obviously a big supporter in that. So okay, we have
Mm-hmm.
talked about a ton of different things that we could be doing for SEO, for getting visible, this kind of organic search. Tell me, what's your Thrive in 5 if someone wants to get started today?
Okay, I've got a list. It's kind of a choose your own adventure type of deal.
Oh,
So,
love it.
okay, so I got five of them. So the first one is you can update your page title for more clarity. So an easy way to do this is just go into Google, type in site, SITE colon, and then your domain name. And what that's going to pull up is all of the pages that Google can see for your website. And then you're going to look at like your home page, your service page. It's probably going to have your business name, but you want to give them more actionability. So what is somebody going to do? So like my homepage doesn't just say homepage. I think it says something about get clear digital marketing answers. So you're giving them an action for that. So just go through and do site colon your domain, take a look through, and then pick one of them and update it and see what happens. See if you get some more traffic or do more than that. But the second one is add a clear call to action at the end of a blog post that you don't already have a call to action for. So, like to contact you or sign up for your newsletter, and put that call to action in the middle. So, when you're scrolling your blog post, if they're like, oh, yep, I love what this person is saying, then they can contact you right away. The third one is to link an old, if you have a blog post already, go to an older blog post and find some words that relate to a newer blog post that you've done and link that older one to the new one. It kind of gives a little bit of juice, not like all of a sudden it's going to rank by any means, but it helps Google get some clarity around all of the things that you're talking about. So link an old blog post to a new blog post. Another one that I'm actually a really fan of outside of number one is adding an FAQ section to your service page. So at the bottom of your service page, go through everything like pain points, how you help, and the transformation, testimonials, and then you can put the contact form, and then you can put an FAQ section of the top FAQs that people have around that service, just in a very straightforward question and answer format. And then lastly, go to one of your most important pages. Maybe it's a service page or something that's highly visited, and just make modifications to those images. So go download them or get the originals, name them with something that's more descriptive in the file name. And then when you upload it, you can add an alt image text. So alternate image text is usually for screen readers. So like when screen readers come through your page, it'll be like, oh, this is a person eating a pie. But you can put something a little bit more descriptive. It helps people to know what the image is about, but it also is used for Google to understand more about the page as well. So there's five of them to choose from.
Those are perfect. I should have been taking notes. As soon as you were like on two or three, I was like, oh, I should have been writing all this down, but I get the transcript after this, and they're all going to be in the show notes so that I can go
Yeah.
do a lot of these things. Touched on some of them, but I'm definitely not doing them consistently. And these are things that, like, you don't have to go do all of these things on all of your pages this afternoon, right?
That's
You can
right.
pick, like you said, pick one page, focus on getting those FAQs there, focus on, renaming an image or two and that sort of thing, and then building on as you go. Because even if you did it all today, like we kind of talked on earlier, it's not going to be all of a sudden you're going to have 1,000% more traffic tomorrow, right? It's a slow
Hmm.
build. So there's not really a race, it's a marathon. Barb, this has been so fantastic. Thank you so much. You've just been a wealth of knowledge. If people want to connect with you, learn more from you, work with you, where should I send them? Give me all the places.
Okay, probably the easiest one is just to hop over to my podcast, Small Business Sweet Spot. You can find me there. And then also compassdigitalstrategies.com is probably the next best place because then it has links to all of the stuff that we talked about.
Perfect. I will make sure that is in the show notes as well as your choose your own adventure SEO task. Barb, thank you so much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you for having me.